My name is Nanna Aida Svendsen, and it is the 23rd of March 2021. That means that spring equinox is just behind us and that spring is beginning to come to the lands here in the north. Yvonne Frank Mårson of Siljens Mosa, Swedish publishing house, has asked me if I would read a poem in honour of the spring equinox, and I said yes. I love any opportunity to read one of my poems, so definitely yes. And the poem that I'd like to read for you today is called, sorry, let's get the right page for it. It's called Snowdrops, Sign of a New Season. And snowdrops are tiny little flowers, little white flowers, and they're the first flowers here in the north to appear. So they are a definite sign of spring, and we're blessed by an abundance of them in the garden at the moment. And I was so delighted to see them that I felt encouraged to write a poem about them. And when I think of them, I think, or I imagine, that they've been on an incredible journey to get here, starting the little seedlings and travelling through the earth. And I imagine that the earth can be cold, and it can have rocks, and it can have other seedlings and roots and things that they have to negotiate in order to come to the surface. And even when they come to the surface, it's not always an easy welcome. The ground can be frozen, or their little faces might appear and then they're brushed by snow. So I feel like it's a pretty hardy journey for those little snowdrops to get to be here. And I feel the same is for us. I feel it's been a long, hard winter. You can see if this feels true for you, but I feel for me and many that I know, it has been a long, hard winter. And winter is the time of going inward. It's a time of meeting the rocks and roots and other things within us that we might not have had time to welcome or encounter. And they can be old emotional griefs that are needing a light of awareness to be shone upon them. They can also be aspects of ourselves that we have refused to welcome into our presence because we felt like we didn't know how to include them in our lives. And so the winter is an incredible time of descent and possibility for soul retrieval. And those journeys can be rough. And we've not only had winter, we've had the long winter of COVID with us, and the forced retreat and descent that has inflicted on so many of us now for really good on a year, going on a year. And that has had its difficulties and its griefs. And I just want to pause just for a second here to acknowledge those who've been seriously ill, or those who have lost dear ones, thanks to that. And I also want to acknowledge the journey that many of us have been on that's not been straightforward. And we've been forced or invited to question our lives. Who are we now? And somebody said to me, what will it be like when we return to normal, to the way we were? And I said, will we return to the way that we were? And actually, do we want to return to the way we were? Because maybe there were many of our cultural habits that weren't so nourishing to us. And maybe there were many of our own personal ways of going about things that weren't so nourishing for us. And so therefore, this long winter has also been an opportunity for a reassessment. And as the spring starts to burgeon all around us, and we find ourselves possibly invited to go out, who will we go out as? What is it we will want to bring to the world? And what kind of world do we want to create for ourselves and one another? So this little poem about snowdrops actually harkens to a number of these questions. And I think I'd like to read it to you. And you can see if any of it echoes with you. Here we go. Oh, I'll have my cushion. I like my cushion to support the poem. And this poem is called Snowdrops, Sign of a New Season. And maybe it is a new season, not just with spring. Maybe it's a much bigger new season, depending on what we each choose for ourselves and for our lives now. A tender ray of sunshine graces the garden, where, encouraged by the increasing light, stand the first snowdrops of the year, their waxen heads wobbling in the wind. Tears well at the sight of those small, hardy souls that, taken by a dream, have dared to move beyond their familiar nestling in the earth and show their faces to the sun. Theirs is no easy journey. I imagine there may be rocks and roots and other small seedlings to navigate along the way. Frozen earth may counter their arrival. Frozen earth may counter their arrival. Snow may brush their faces. And yet, they are here. Nothing for them to do now. Nowhere to go but be. Nowhere to go but be. And invite their blossoming beauty to unfold. They have followed life's calling. They've followed life's calling to realize themselves just as we, despite the difficulties, also must, if we, like those snowdrops, are to inhabit our lives and invite our souls blossoming to unfold. Thank you.